All right, welcome back to the small cardigan, and this is part 3, I believe. Recording a lot as I've gotten to this row, so we are going to be placing 5 half double crochets for this row. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to go into the stitch, we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. We're going to do that 4 more times for a total of 5. So this is number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Now, we are going to be making like a cuff, and so what we're going to do is yarn over, and around the post of this next double crochet, we're going to go in one side and out the back, and we're going to come onto the other side, okay? We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's a front post double crochet. We're going to do a back post double crochet. So yarn over, we're going to go behind it, we're going to put our hook on the one side, we're going to go in front of that post and out the other side. We're going to yarn over, pull up our loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So we're going to do front post, back post, 82 times total, but let's do it again together. So yarn over, we're going to go through the side of the post and out the back, and we're going to come to the front on the other side of that post. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Now we're going to do a back post double crochet. So yarn over, we're going to go behind it, through the side and out the front, and we're going to go through the other side and out the back. Yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So go ahead and do that all the way down until you have 6 stitches left. All right, so I've got 82 front post double crochets and 82 back post double crochets. Around this next stitch, we're going to do a front post double crochet. And then we're going to place 5 half double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So as long as you ended on a front post double crochet, you shouldn't have to check your stitch counts, but it wouldn't hurt to. So let's go ahead and move into row 50 when you're ready. All right, moving into row 50. Well, this is going to be basically the opposite of what we just did. We're going to do 5 half double crochets to get started. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now this row we're going to start with back post double crochets. So you see here, this one is behind. We're going to yarn over, we're going to go behind, in front of the post and out the other side, yarn over and pull up our loop. The first one always gives me a hard time. Drop that yarn ball if you're there with me. All right, and so now we're going to place a front post double crochet around this one. And that's all it is. So go ahead and do your back post double crochet, front post double crochet another 81 times, and I'll see you in a second. All right, we're going to wrap up row 50. We're going to place a back post double crochet around this stitch back here. And we're going to place 5 half double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we've got 2 of our 5 rows for our bottom cuff. So you're actually going to crochet row 51 2 and 3 by yourself, repeating rows 49 and 50. You do not need to fasten off, and we will work into the border once I catch up and finish these last 3 rows. All right, so we're going to get into this border here, and I have my 5 rows with front post double crochets and back post double crochets, and then I did my single crochet row for row 54, which brought me to the side of my vest here where the buttonholes are. And so if you haven't already, we are going to have a chain 2 for the corner, so 1 and 2. You only need 2 chains here, okay? We're going to place a single crochet in the same space as our last single crochet in row 54, sorry. And then we are going to place 5 single crochets in each of the half double crochet rows, and we're going to place 2 single crochets here around these double crochets, or this double crochet here. So let's go ahead and place 5 single crochets though to get started. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So a rule of thumb is that 2 single crochets across equals the height of 1 double crochet. So we're going to be placing 2 single crochets over the last double crochet for the next 45 rows. So let's go ahead and do that together. We're going to place around this double crochet. So we're going to do 2, 1 and 2. Now, you're going to get real used to how to place these single crochets with the buttonholes and then the double crochets between the buttonholes, because we're going to place 2 single crochets over this double crochet where the buttonhole is. So 1, 2. And then you'll have 8 single crochets between each buttonhole because you have 4 rows here. So that's going to really help you learn where to place your single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've got 5, 6, and then 7 and 8. Okay, so go ahead and place your single crochets around each double crochet all the way up to the row where the stitch marker is, and then we'll work together again. Alrighty, so I've removed my stitch marker from row 4 because I placed 2 single crochets, and you should have 96 single crochets from the corner to this point. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to place 3 single crochets to take us up to the neckline where our stitches are. So let's go ahead and place 1, 2, and the third one is going to go over that chain 3. Now, some of you are not going to like how loose that is, so what I typically do is drop down into the base of that half double crochet, and I pick up that loop and I go around the chain 3 as well. Okay, so now you are going to start working across the neckline, and we're going to place our first single crochet of 51 single crochets into the first, and it's kind of tight because we are working into a chain instead of the base of a stitch, but we're going to put our first single crochet in the base of that chain 3, and then we are going to pick up both loops, and you're going to see them right here, of all of our row 1 stitches, so the base of those. So this is going to be a little bit of a slow process because it's super tight, but it's going to be really clean when it's all said and done. So what I like to do, because now I've got 2 of my 51 stitches, is take a stitch marker and I'm going to place it in the first one. All right, that way all I have to do is count 51 because I know that I've got 99 stitches up to this point because we had 96 here, we added 3, and then you're going to have 51 across the neckline. So do 49 more stitches by yourself. Alrighty, so I have my 51 single crochets across the neckline. And now, just like we did on the other side, we're going to place 3 single crochets leading up to the row where the stitch marker is. So, I'm going to go 1, 2, and it is okay to crochet over that tail, and 3. Now starting in the row where the stitch marker is, you're going to place 2 single crochets over the last double crochet all the way down, and that's going to be 96 single crochets to the corner. However, I will help you with the last 6 single crochets over top of the half double crochet rows. Okay, so go ahead and place 2 single crochets over the last double crochet for 45 rows. Okay, so I've got my single crochets placed across my double crochets, and now we need 6 single crochets up to the corner. So we're going to place a single crochet over each half double crochet. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're going to place 1 in the same space as our first single crochet across row 54. So that makes 6 single crochets total from this from your last double crochet to the corner. We're going to chain 2, and you do not need to slip stitch. I'm going to turn my work and we'll work along the bottom edge. Alrighty, so we've got our chain 2, and now we're going to skip this first single crochet, and going into the second one, we're going to start a repeat. So we're going to do a single crochet in that stitch, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into the stitch with another single crochet. And that's what our repeat is. We're going to skip a stitch, go into the next one with a single crochet, a chain, and a single crochet in the same stitch. Okay, and that gives us our little decorative border. Now across this bottom edge here, you're going to have a total of 85 more of your repeat. Okay, so I will see you at the corner. All right, you can see I've got my decorative border along the edge here, and now I've come to my chain 2 at the corner. So we are going to do the same thing that we did in our repeat twice. So we're going to go into the chain 2 with a single crochet, a chain, and a single crochet. And we're going to do that again. Single crochet, chain, single crochet, and that makes our little corner. So now we're going to go ahead and skip. We're kind of already over this stitch here, so what we're going to do is skip it, and we're going to go into this stitch here, and we're just going to do our repeat around. So the single crochet, chain, and a single crochet in the same stitch. We're going to do that all the way around to the next corner for a total of 176 times. Okay, so I'll see you at the next corner. All right, so to wrap up, I've come to my chain 2 in my other corner, and we're going to do the same thing as we did with the first corner. We're going to place a single crochet, a chain, and a single crochet in that chain 2. And then we're going to repeat that. So single crochet, chain, and single crochet. And then you're just going to slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet, and you will fasten off. I'm having a real hard time today. Got some butterfingers, mad butterfingers today. Oh my gosh. Alright, so slip stitch. And then we're going to fasten off here. Give yourself a nice little tail. Pull it through. Oop. And I will weave in and actually pull this tail to the back, and then I will close up this hole here just from where that chain 2 is, and then we will get started on the sleeves, okay? Okay, so we are going to be moving into the sleeves, and no matter what side you're going to work from, you are going to use the stitch marker that is second in from the edge. So you'll count in from the edge, and I've already put my buttons on, but that's later down in the comment section. So I'm going to attach where this green one is, and then I'm going to attach where this pink one is, okay? And we will be working over the shoulder and then the armpit to get started, okay? So I will see you in a second. All right, so I did choose to go on the right shoulder here. And so you're gonna see this lime green stitch marker. I'm gonna place my hook in the base of that stitch and do a slip stitch. Okay, we're gonna chain 1 like always at the beginning of a row. I am going to be crocheting over this tail, and I'm gonna work it up through a few rows. So we are going to be placing a double crochet in the same area that we just slip stitched. Okay. I'm going to fold my tail up. All right. And then we are going to chain 1. And then down here in row 23, we placed 2 double crochets and then a cluster. We are going to place a cluster between those 2 areas. Okay. Place your cluster. Man, this yarn is giving me some problems. So now we are going to chain 1 and place a cluster in the chain space a total of 20 times. So go ahead and do that 19 more times by yourself, and I'll meet you for the armpit. All right, so I did that chain cluster 20 times, and now we're going to chain 1 time. We're going to place a cluster here on the other side of this cluster before these 2 double crochets. So go ahead and go in between there with a cluster. This yarn is so slippery, y'all. Okay, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to be placing a double crochet where this stitch is, or this stitch marker is, okay? Ooh. Now, I do need to pause the video so I can turn my piece because it's a little bit bunched up, so give me a second. All right, so we've got our double crochet there. We're going to chain 1, and now we're going to be working over this chain 9. We're going to yarn over. We're going to go over the chain, or behind the chain 9. We're going to yarn over and pull up our loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to yarn over. We're going to go after that same cluster and complete our cluster. Okay, let's do it again together. So we're going to chain 1. We're going to yarn over, go before the next cluster, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over, go after that same cluster. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 3. So go ahead and do that 5 more times by yourself. All right, so you should have a total of 7 straddled clusters with 7 additional chain spaces, right? Okay, and so now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of this double crochet that started the round. All right, and we'll chain 1 and turn our work. So go ahead and do that. I'll see you in a second for row 2. All right, we're moving into row 2. Oh my gosh. My hook has a mind of its own today. So we are going to be working into this first chain space, and I'm going to be working over my tail as well. So you're going to place a cluster in that chain space. Sometimes it's really weird to crochet on screen. I think I say that every tutorial, but we're going to chain one. And now we're going to begin working in the next chain space. And we're going to do 5 of the straddle clusters. So we're going to go straight over into this chain space. That tails doesn't need to come with me. And we're going to place that beginning of that cluster. And we're going to yarn over and go into the next chain space and complete that cluster. And then we'll chain and do that 4 more times, okay? All right, so I've got my 5 straddled clusters, got 5 chain spaces, and then that first cluster. So now we're going to chain and cluster into the chain space a total of 24 times. All right, so go ahead and chain, cluster into the chain space 23 more times. All right, we're going to wrap up this row with a chain, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of that first cluster, and you'll chain 1 and turn your work. See you for row 3. All right, moving into row 3, we are going to be placing a cluster in the chain space, followed by a chain, a total of 25 times. So go ahead and do that 24 more times by yourself. All right, so I've got 25 clusters and 25 chains. We're going to start in the next chain, and we're going to straddle a total of 3 times. All right, so we're going to straddle, followed by a chain. So go ahead, well, we'll just do it together. This is our second one. It's late, guys, while I'm filming this. And our third one. And a chain. Now we're going to cluster in this chain space. Followed by a chain, and then we're going to slip stitch to the top of the first cluster, followed by a chain, and turn your work. Alrighty, moving into row 4, we are going to place a cluster in this chain space, followed by a chain. We're going to place a cluster in the next chain space. Sorry, my yarn was caught. Followed by a chain. Now we're going to straddle only 1 time. And now we're going to chain, cluster in the chain space a total of 25 times. So go ahead and do that 24 more times by yourself. And that's going to be a cluster chain. All right, so to wrap up this row, we are going to chain 1, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of that cluster, okay? You'll chain 1 and turn your work. All right, so we're going to move into row 5, and all you're going to do for this row is place a cluster in the chain space, followed by a chain. And you'll do that all the way around a total of 28 times, and then you'll slip stitch to the top of your first cluster, and you'll chain and turn your work. So I will see you for row 11, because you're going to do row 5 all the way up to row 11. Alrighty, so we are moving into row 11, and I have color changed again, so you might not be able to see that, but we are in our 3rd color, at least for me. And so now what we're going to do is, this is a row 11 through row 18, and the repeat for these rows is going to be a cluster in the chain space, followed by a chain, and we're going to do that 2 more times for a total of 3. So cluster in the chain space, chain. We'll do this a 3rd time, cluster in the chain space, chain. and then we're just going to cluster in the chain space, and that wraps up the repeat. So you're going to do that all the way around, slip stitch to the top of your first cluster, and then you'll chain and turn your work, and you'll do that all the way, that repeat, for rows 11 through 18. So I will see you for row 19. All right, moving into row 19, we are going to place a cluster between these two clusters. This is the beginning of our repeat, followed by a chain. We're going to do that again, a cluster, followed by a chain, and now we're going to place two clusters. So 1, and 2. I do apologize for the last few rows I've recorded. I've been a little bit spazzy. So this repeat for rows 19 through 26 is going to have a cluster chain 2 times and then 2 clusters. And you're going to do that all the way around and then slip stitch to the top, chain, and turn your work. And so I will see you for row 27. All right, we are moving on to row 27, and this repeat will go all the way up to row 34. So we are going to place 4 clusters. Okay, so let's do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to chain 1, and that's our repeat for rows 27 through row 34. So I will see you for row 35. All right, moving into row 35, and this is going to be for row 35 through 42. We are going to be just placing clusters between all of the clusters all the way around, and you're going to have 28 total. Okay, and you'll slip stitch at the end to the top of the first cluster, and chain and turn your work. So I'll meet you for row 43. Go ahead and place your 28 clusters all the way around until row 43. All right, row 43, we are going to be straddling all of row 42's clusters. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to go in the space before the cluster, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to yarn over and go in the space after that same cluster, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, so that is going to be, we're going to do 28 of those total, but let's do the next one together. Yarn over, go in the space before the cluster, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go after that same cluster, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. So go ahead and do 26 more of those. You will slip stitch to the top of the first cluster. You will chain 1, but do not turn your work. For row 44, you're going to do 28 double crochets. You will slip stitch to the first double crochet, and you do not need to turn your work for that row either. So I will see you for row 45. Alrighty, so row 44, I did all my double crochets here, and I have slip stitched to the top of my first one. So 45, we are going to be doing front post and back post double crochets. We're going to yarn over, we're going to go behind that post, we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. The first one's always funny. Yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to yarn over, we're going to go behind and up through the front. We're going to yarn over, pull up our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So you will do that another 13 times, and then you will slip stitch to the top of this first double crochet, and you will repeat row 45 for rows 46 through 49. Row 50 is single crochets all the way around, so I will help you fasten off at the end of row 50. All right, so I've got my 5 rows of back post and front post double crochets, and I did a row of single crochets just to clean it up. And so now I typically slip stitch 3 times just for security purposes, and then I will fasten off. So this is my second slip stitch and my third. And so we're gonna fasten off here. I'm gonna give myself about a 6-inch tail, and then pull on that loop so it comes to the front. Now you're gonna take your darning needle, and what I do is pull that tail back through the same stitch, and then I weave it back and forth. I'm gonna get a little bit closer here. I weave it back and forth under these 2 loops from the single crochet. So I go about like 4 stitches, and then I weave back 5, and then I weave the other way 5. And that's pretty secure and tight. I've been doing that for decades. So you will repeat this on the other sleeve, and you will have this complete, and we can move on to pockets and buttons. All right.